Hey guys, Zeteo here. Today we're going to be doing another replay speed cast. We're today looking at Barcast and Wraxell. Once again, the game is starting. Let's get into it. All right, we got Barcast TV spawned at the bottom position. The bottom left position is our red Cortex guy, and we have Wraxell spawned as our blue Cortex guy. This is Canis River. And this is certainly an interesting map, a well-liked map. It's certainly a little bit of a macro map, but at the same time, because of the high ground positions here, you know, like such as this hill here, or I should say mountain maybe. But yeah, these obstruct radar, and that can make it a little bit difficult to see stuff. It used to be where this high ground also obstructed radar, and that made it even more difficult to defend. But nowadays, the radar sees above that high ground shelf. And so you can see raids coming pretty easily in Barcast's position. So this high ground position for Wraxell, not quite as strong as it used to be. I mean, it was a nice position before because you didn't have to worry about the radar as much. You just had to worry about this hill, at least to begin with. But yeah, now, you know, with it changed, you know, Barcast is going to be feeling pretty good at the bottom of that high ground. But yeah, anyways, we do see vehicles coming up here for Barcast. We do see vehicles coming out here from Wraxell as well, and it is one of those maps where solar can be quite nice when the wind gets low. So definitely going to see some solar on this map. Yeah, both players here. Oh, I didn't set the speed, did I? Speed 1.5. Okay, there we go. All right, now we see these units cranking. I was wondering why it was a little bit slow here, but yeah, we do have some rascals coming out here from Barcast. Moving across the map, going to find where Wraxell is at the very least. Wraxell, meanwhile, produces a con first, so he's going out to grabbing this expansion. Now, this is a nice position here because you can just kind of defend this ramp and defend this position here, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're sitting pretty good against early game raids. So, you know, the corner position is still a nice spot to have. You know, meanwhile, you know, Barcast kind of looking at the same thing, but spawning on the bottom means he has access to this other expansion as well, and he still only has to really worry about, you know, this position here, but it is a little bit more open around the base, so gonna have to be maybe a little bit more defensive because of that, but we'll have to wait and see how you know, how soon these players start adding on some incisors here. But yeah, both players, you know, since it is a mirror matchup, I would think that there'd be you know, maybe a lot of incisors pretty early because you don't want to fall behind on that counts. Just having a couple incisors down can certainly change the course of a battle, so very important. But yeah, Barcast here doing a nice job sending his commander out here, grabbing these 3 mexes immediately. I wonder if he's going to walk back. Looks like he is. Radar first, of course. But yeah, maybe walking back to support that lab. Now, this is a nice strong play because, you know, vehicles, when you start out, don't really need a lot of boosting. And so you grab these mexes and you walk back because they're going to need a boosting after you start grabbing these mexes. So, you know, just walking back when it's not too far of a distance here isn't too rough. And now he's going to be able to spend all of his metal. But he is adding on a lot of rascals still, which, you know, it's fine, but you kind of want to, you know, be able to utilize them as best you can. You know, if your opponent's not really attacking, you know, with scouts of their own, it's not really necessary to keep them defensively. So I'd probably be saying, you know, to send them out to do some scouting. Or maybe your opponent does still have some rascals around and they use them later. So maybe it's good to have them back here. You know, it's hard to say. We do see a bit of a drawing here from Mirrored, the cat drawing. We'll have to see how that pans out. But yeah, the expansion, pretty fast for Barcast, but even faster for Wraxell. You know, having his commander move forward instead of sitting behind and boosting the lab. So Wraxell for it, you know, a little bit behind on energy production here because he sent so many cons out to expand. He has all these cons boosting the lab and now adding on the concert, but now a little bit behind because it doesn't have any cons working on that energy. So just now adding on some wind turbines. Yeah, meanwhile, little bits of attacking here. Wraxell, you know, has, you know, prioritized making a lot of units with those cons, you know, adding on that concert a little bit later. So he has a little bit of a bigger force, you know, and has the metal income and it's kind of grown just a lot faster because the comm not moving back, right? He's kind of played it where he had fewer units early on, and Barcast just kind of sat back too much, I think. You know, sat back with the units, played defensively, and maybe felt like, and maybe needed to play defensively with the information that he had. But, you know, Wraxell just kind of abusing that and expanding very heavily comparatively. Yeah, just sending that con out here, or I'm sorry, the commander out here, grabbing all these mexes in these clusters, and even securing this position across the pond in this location. This is traversable right here, just FYI. Same thing on the other side of the map. So it is a path that you need to worry about, but let's hold that thought. We do have some incisors coming up here. Barcast doing a nice job just having a nice spread of units. Incisors can sort of shoot over each other because the, you know, the turret, they just need to shoot over each other's turret. You know, as long as the turret isn't blocking, and the turret on the incisors is a little bit smaller than things like blitzes, so they're able to kind of shoot through each other a little bit as long as the turret's not in the way. But yeah, Barcast doing a nice job, but also, you know, like both sides are you know, it's kind of good to do both, and you know, kind of depends on the exact situation, and there's so many little micro things that can happen for either of these players. So it's hard to say which one's better, but I think in this case, Wraxell doing a nice job just kind of, you know, balling up a little bit and making sure that he's only engaging some of Barcast units. So taking some nice trades and then coming in here and, you know, taking out this position. So I think Wraxell, you know, securing himself a really nice position, and Barcast, although he has a bigger army advantage, isn't pressing the advantage. It's Wraxell that's pressing the advantage. So, you know, Barcast may be a little bit, little too cautious here, sitting back with so many units. You know, and I think that's an odd thing. I think to some degree, Wraxell knows that Barcast is more of a macro player. Ooh, hold that thought though. We got incisors. Okay, I was thinking maybe they were going to get degunned, but yeah, Barcast pulls him out before it gets too late. But yeah, Wraxell, I'm sure, knows Barcast is a bit more of a macro player, isn't so heavy into the micro. And what that means is, you know, if Barcast isn't going to be aggressive and on his side of the map, then Wraxell can abuse that and start going for a lot more units. So, or I'm sorry, a lot more expansions. And then later on, work up a bigger army. And I think the metal disparity between the two is starting to catch up with Barcast. Barcast trying to do what he can now to push forward, but it might be a little bit too late because that army value window has closed a bit. Now, there's certainly still a lot he can do, especially if he splits up his forces and makes sure that he's able to get in places where Wraxell can't defend as easily. We do see some pounders coming up here. They're a little bit slower, and maybe Barcast can abuse that. We do have some mines as well, by the way. Mines are a very strong, you know, pretty cheap way to take out some enemy forces. But yeah, it's really comes down to, you know, if Wraxell steps over those mines or not. Barcast trying to make sure that he's a little bit further behind, you know, behind the mines with his units to make sure that the mines go off. You know, he can maybe set up a trap with that. And yeah, Barcast trying to do what he can in here, but yeah, finds a lot of resistance with those guard towers as well as the medium tanks. So yeah, just gonna have to back out of here. And I think Barcast, you know, just not in so good of a position here because Wraxell is controlling this choke point. Barcast is controlling this one, but at the same time, you know, I think Wraxell just having having the expansions a little bit sooner has paid off. Now these incisors did run through the minefield. They ran this way, so they blew up only 2 mines. Maybe these mines are a little bit too spread out. They are only light mines, but look at all these damaged incisors. And now with these medium tanks coming out here, you know, Wraxell needing to come out here, but he runs through the other mines. Is that one going to go off? Are they on hold position or something? Hold fire. Oh man, is that part of the bug? I know that there's a bug with hold fire right now. Unfortunately, that did not go off. They are working on it, by the way. They're you know, of course, trying to fix that. There's just been reports of like snipers and stuff like automatically being set to hold fire, even though the factory's not set to hold fire. And maybe the mines are a part of that. But either way, those mines not going off, very, very big deal. As those incisors get away. Now, they are just kind of chilling there at the moment as these players' attention is more in this corner now. Barcast needs to be really careful here. His commander's getting low. And Wraxell doing a nice job just kind of staying away. Gets a little bit degunned, but at the same time, so much damage is being dealt to Barkas. I don't think he's going to be able to get away. He needs to get in that water ASAP. But yeah, his commander does go down, and Wraxell takes the game. But yeah, I think I didn't mention it, but there was an air transition from Barkas, and spending that money on the shurikens is generally a good call. But at the same time, you're spending all that extra money on a lab, and now you don't quite have as many units, and now you got to deal with, you know, those medium tanks. And if those medium tanks move around nicely, you know, they can avoid the commander shots. They do outrange it, so you know, it's really hard for Barkas in that position to defend against such a good microplay from Wraxell. But yeah, unfortunately, those mines did not kill these incisors. They're all kind of healed up at this point because of the auto heal. But yeah, they took a lot of damage as well. I think in that position, Barkas like desperately needed to cross the water, but then as soon as he does, it's like, you know, the enemy forces can just go around. They're not that far, you know, it's not that far of a distance to just go around. So I don't know. It's very tricky. I don't think Barkas had enough to really be able to defend that. He kind of needed to rely on D-guns, unfortunately. But anyways, that wraps up this game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.